I'm Mary Beth McAndrews from Dread Central, and I'm very excited to be joined here today with the director of Candyland, John Swab, one of the stars of Candyland, Olivia Luccardi, and executive producer of Candyland, Jeremy Rosen. Hello, everybody. How are you?
I'm
Good.
good.
Thanks for
Yay.
having us.
I'm so excited to chat about this movie with all of you. It's one of my favorites of 2022, but technically coming out next year. But John, first, just starting out with you, can you just tell our viewers a little bit about Candyland and what it is?
Yeah, Candyland is about a young cult member who runs away and joins a gang of truck stop prostitutes, aka lot lizards.
Hell yeah. And why did you want to write a movie about this topic?
Um, Sex workers have always fascinated me, as have cults, and the two of them together seem like they'd make for a great slasher movie. So,
Hell yeah. And then Olivia, so I know that you kind of came in towards the tail end of the project and you play the young cult member coming and hanging out with the group of sex workers. How did you kind of when you first read the script, what was your reaction and what excited you about the project?
It really it was a fun script, and playing that sort of religious fanatic was very different than anything else that I've played, which they can attest. The religious speak was hard for me. But it was just, I loved it. The feel of the movie just seemed like so much fun. And me and John spoke before I came on, and it was just, I felt like it was going to be something special, which I think it is.
It definitely is. And what was it like getting into the headspace of Remy's character?
I honestly can't fully tell you because I can never really remember. like every film thing is it's like a whirlwind, so I don't always kind of remember how I did it. Watching it again, I was like, whoa, that's me. So I really don't even, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Oh no, that's an incredible answer. But then Jeremy, I wanted to hear more about how you got involved with the project and kind of your feelings coming on to Candyland, because I know that you and John have been collaborators for a long time.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Yeah, well, first and foremost, such a pleasure. Thank you for supporting Candyland. We're sure grateful. John and I are alter egos at this point, however many years in. So whatever his genius disturbed mind conjures, I'm more than happy and motivated to support. And we really complement one another with the creative and the business. I like to think so. So yeah, as he's noted before, he cranked this out just in a couple of weeks, 2 Christmases ago, and as soon as he shared it with me, I knew we had to do it. It was just a question of where and when and for how much, frankly, and that was very much a saga unto itself. John's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's become kind of an adopted home for me because we work there almost exclusively. Candyland being the sole exception. When there were no state resources left for us a year and a half ago, when we made Candyland, we pivoted up north to Montana, which was very much new territory for us, literally and figuratively.
Was it because Martin Scorsese took over Tulsa, basically?
Precisely. I don't want to name names, and
I'll drop them. It's okay.
No, yeah. I mean, listen, I would never profess to be in the same category as Mr. Scorsese, but yes, that's right. He was shooting a $200 million picture for Apple called Killers of the Flower Moon, which comes out next year, and it essentially took all the air out of the room as far as the Oklahoma state rebate is concerned, which is an integral component of our independent film finance business model. So I met the film commissioner in Montana, the lovely Allison Whitmer, and gave her a call. I remember John and I were at dinner in New York finishing post-production on what was our latest film at the time. I think it was Ida Red, which is out now. And I said, Allison, you got room up there for us? She goes, come on. So so John and I, just classic cowboy style, just rolled up there. And then once we kind of set planted our flag, so to speak, we got word to all of our cast and crew, and everyone was gracious enough to come out. and make the time and for pennies on the dollar, and we're sure proud of it.
Amazing. That's incredible. And so, John, I want to hear more about like your relationship with horror films, but specifically kind of exploitation grindhouse horror movies, because you're really working with that language in Candyland, but I think it is something that takes those sensibilities and expands them for a 2022 context. But I wanted to hear more kind of about your relationship to those kinds of films and how they may have inspired or kind of shaped how you thought about Candyland.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I'm a big fan of kind of forgotten 70s films, as well as straight to VHS 90s films.
Hell yeah.
And I think, like I told you originally, or when we spoke before, this was kind of like my mantra was like a X-rated John Hughes movie. I wanted to make a the exploitation version of The Breakfast Club, basically. And so I wanted it to be fun. I wanted people to enjoy it. I wanted them to connect to the characters, and I also wanted to push the envelope with the material. But a lot of my favorite movies are those movies that most people don't know about, those exploitation films from the 70s. One of which is Truck Stop Women, which I love, which is a 70s movie from Mark L. Lester, who actually graced us with his presence in LA and did the Q&A for us, which
Hell yeah.
was kind of a cool full circle moment for me. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to make a movie that wasn't afraid to go where modern movies seem to be afraid to go, and have fun doing it, so.
Yeah, amazing. And then Olivia, are you a horror movie person? Do you like the horror genre at all?
I've acted in a lot of horror, and I can watch those movies or movies that my friends are in, but yeah, after high school there was like a weird point where it's just like I can't do it. So it's a weird thing. It's like I love the classics like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer and stuff from the 90s. And my boyfriend even said, he's like, you can watch these horror movies. I'm like, because from when I was a kid, it's just
interesting.
I know what happens and I enjoy it. But like modern ones, when it's like, if I don't know what's happening, I'm like sitting there like this the whole time, like closing my ears, because I'm like, no noise is gonna scare me. I'm not gonna be the only one jumping. So yeah,
that's incredible. And I wanted to hear from you a little bit about a particular scene involving a priest in a hotel room, and what that was like to film that scene for you, and what that experience was like for you as the actor doing the thing to avoid spoilers, like about what happens in that scene.
It was long. Mark was great though, and the teeth were not in the script. That was probably, thank you for that, John. But that was like, Mark was like, my teeth can come out. And it was just like, and like John is like, yeah, like let's keep that. Let's use that. I'm like, so it's not making this easier, is it?
Like, please keep them in your mouth, please.
No, but I mean, everyone was great. John was great. There for certain angles, Mark wasn't there, and it was done really well, and it was funny. And
for most of it, I was actually for most of it, I was actually had my arms between your legs. Like
we had like pillows too.
Yeah.
Like we were wrestling a pillow.
It was
cool. Yeah, I was wondering, like, what was that like?
That was a fun scene.
And then, like, how did like?
No, go ahead.
There are so many, like, obviously, like sex scenes and intimacy scenes. How were those handled on set? Did you have any kind of intimacy coordinator, or how did you all handle kind of all of these moments?
I'm gonna raise my hand for this one. So, because it started, I feel like on the pre-6, that was like my second day back there, but we used maxi pads as vagina mats, basically. Like we would pile up maxi pads, and the thing is they also got used as stab pads and cleaning up the blood on the floor and ourselves. So they were, that was the jack of all trades, like MacGyver tool on the set of Candyland.
Oh yeah, just maxi pads for everything, multi-purpose
Get them
tool.
at truck stops, so that's what we did. Which I don't know if you guys know that. I mean, you know about the cleaning up the blood with them, because we did. Yeah.
That's amazing. And then just to hear more, I think, from John or Jeremy about like how other sex scenes were handled and like kind of how you like wanted to approach those and filming all of those moments.
Yeah, I mean, these were the majority of these people, Olivia aside, I knew very well before making the movie. So there was a relationship there before they even were cast in the movie. We had conversations about comfort levels and the material and what we were trying to do and how we were going to shoot it. So by the time everybody came, it wasn't like any of the sex scenes were a surprise or anything like that. It was all like discussed and we were kind of laughing about it. I mean, the scene with Mark and Olivia, it was it's a long scene, so it took a long time. And at a certain point in the night, Olivia was like, "We got one more," and I was like, "Okay." And
it
we
was
got out of
the
there.
last one we were done.
Yeah. So
and this was before SAG-AFTRA really was adamant about intimacy coordinators. So we were right there in the gray area. Mind you, this was also during the heart of COVID as well. So these sexually explicit and intimate scenes didn't necessarily bode well for social distancing. So we were navigating quite a bit.
But no one got COVID.
No, I mean, as far as we know, ignorance is bliss, as far as we know. I remember, I remember Eden was going to visit her father from set. She was driving down south and wanted another COVID test before she hit the road just to not endanger her family. And we go, oh, sure. I mean, we had a whole car full of tests and we had our medic there. But it was, I mean, we've said it before and it's worth repeating. There's no way we could have made this with a lot of formality, right? It was apparently friends and family. So if anyone were to come in and be more of a stickler when it came to things like an intimacy coordinator, certain protocols that you'd normally have, but we also had very few locations as well. So it was very self-contained. We were very much a group unto ourselves, and I think that was the only way it could have worked, lightning in a bottle style. Yeah.
Awesome. That's incredible. And then my last question, I think, is for everyone. I kind of wanted to ask Olivia, what was your experience like working with Owen Campbell? Because you guys obviously have a lot of chemistry on screen and you have a lot of sweet and maybe not so sweet moments. So what was that experience like collaborating with him so much on screen and in Candyland?
I mean, he's amazing to work with. He's a genuinely kind person also. But it was really great. I mean, we made sure that we had a conversation early on about like our comfort levels and everything else. And we discussed like our scene, like our intimate scene with John as well, to make sure that everyone was, and it was very choreographed into what was happening. And I mean, I hope to get to work with him again because he really was a pleasure to work with.
He's incredible. And then actually, my final question is, John, do you consider this a Christmas movie, and should people try to watch this closer to the holiday season next year?
100% Christmas movie, I think it's got everything that makes Christmas great in it. I hope it's becomes like an essential holiday film for all. Yeah.
And we hoped, our intention was for the release to coincide with Christmas and the holiday season. Hanukkah too, very important. I'm basically a non-practicing Jew, but I still acknowledge Hanukkah. But ultimately our distributor just needed a bit more lead time, hence the January 6th release. So with the third parties, right, with the streamers, et cetera, generally they need a minimum amount of advance notice. That's the only reason it's not coming out immediately prior to or on Christmas even.
Well, It's so great the way, like, it's so great. And everyone, it comes out January 6th. So please check out Candyland. Thank you all so much for chatting with me today.